This is a story about a high school teacher that got really pissed off at the Charlie Kirk assassination and let his feelings be known in the classroom. I like this story because it contains a lot of issues that I like to discuss: racism, education, and free speech. And we're going to be led down the path of discussion by Sharon Reed, subbing in for Rashad Richey. And she'll be joined by Senator Nina Turner. And you know which side of the aisle their idiocy will fall. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
Florida teacher facing an investigation after having a racist outburst in the classroom. Stephen Babis, a social studies teacher at Everglades High, is being alleged to have said this: Black people are taught to hate white people, so who's the racist? And I don't even think he was looking for an answer to that. It's more rhetorical, we'll call it. But we're going to answer the question anyway. Okay? Here are the details from the Miami New Times. Stephen Babis, social studies teacher at Everglades High School in Miramar, apparently flew off the handle during a discussion about Kirk, as in Charlie Kirk, the day after he was murdered. 17-year-old student who recorded part of the rant tells New Times, a man identified as Babis can be heard on the recording telling a class of mostly Black students, quote, "I grew up white. Everyone I know was taught not to be racist." I said I wasn't going to do this today, but we really do need to pause right there. If you have to be taught not to be racist, doesn't that prove the point? Is it? Come on, Miss.
Finally, someone on the left willing to speak out against the anti-racism industry. It's great to see indisputable pushback against the Robin DiAngelo race hustling machine, where they're hired as consultants by companies and education institutes to teach anti-racism. I'm not sure that was her intent, but put me down as a supporter. I mean, in her zest to criticize the white man, she blew up her own argument. But that's okay, because her subscribers are not going to catch it. They have no critical thinking skills. Hypocrisy is not an issue for race hustlers because their own viewing audience is too stupid to catch them on it.
Mr. Babis, I'll go on, and then we're going to get to what the senator has to say about all of this. That's what we were taught. Then I become an adult, and, well, guess what I find out? Black people are taught to hate white people. So who's the racist? Why do Black people hate white people? He continues in the rant. Because cops are killing Blacks. Is that what's going on? Are more whites getting shot by cops than Blacks? Somebody say yes, because that's a fact. How come there are parades, fires, murders, and burning cities down, all because George Floyd, a career criminal, died? Mr. Floyd was murdered, by the way, just a point.
A couple of points. For one, he has a point. Channels like Indisputable and other race hustlers teach their audience to hate white people on a continual basis. And it's not just hate, it's also ridicule. In every commercial, the white person is made out to be a buffoon. Two neighbors in an ad meet and one is paying too much for car insurance. And later, she'll be stranded on the side of a road where the other neighbor picks her up and explains how much smarter she is by getting a better deal and service. Gee, I wonder which one of the neighbors will be white and the other will be Black. For my second point, his statements have no business in a public classroom. Teachers over the past few decades have gotten too comfortable injecting their own personal lives into instruction. And this is almost always the residual effect of teachable moments. While the topic here may be worthy of a social science lesson, the aim here by the teacher is not didactic. It's to persuade his students to think like him, and that is called indoctrination. It is essentially impossible to grade students fairly on any assignments that arise from these massively biased ravings. We don't like it when one side does it. We shouldn't like it when our side does it. Third, his statements are not racist. Nothing said here indicates that he holds people of color in low regard, only that people of color are not holding his own race in equal regard. But to answer his questions requires scholarly inquiry, not simply taking his word for it. A classroom exercise could involve students looking up the statistics, taking into account sample sizes and per capita rates. But he's not doing that. He has a captive audience and he's taking advantage of them. And yeah, teachers on the left have been doing this a ton. As I mentioned, the educational model here used by this teacher is called teachable moments. Typically, this method involves opening discussion on whatever big news item is making the rounds among student conversations. ICE just raided a nearby school. Rather than teach a lesson on primary versus secondary sources, let's just hijack the students' time and discuss the raid, because I've got something to say about that. Teachable moments is, next to round-robin reading, the laziest teaching strategy in existence. You're essentially paying a school teacher to blabber his or her own feelings about whatever news item has hit the internet. You know how it is when you get on Twitter and argue for 2 hours with someone over a political topic? Well, the teacher is doing the same thing, with two exceptions. One, it's one-sided. The teacher holds command over the student's grades, and so he can moderate the discussion however he or she fits. And we all know how that works out. And two, he's being paid by you. You're paying that teacher to host a social media thread disguised as a classroom. I've seen hundreds of classroom sessions. I have yet to see a single teacher who lived by the teachable moments method that wasn't a total waste of taxpayer money. They're worthless. And by the way, I was wondering why she used the word murdered instead of killed when describing Charlie Kirk. I thought, well, that's pretty amazing. But she knew that she was going to have to make a point about Floyd being murdered and not just killed.
Point of clarification. He didn't just die. Sudden death syndrome or whatever some people still want to make it out to be. But when a white girl on a train gets stabbed in the neck, just whispers. That's another falsehood. We heard about it. We should have heard about it. It was horrific. Don't lie.
It's hyperbole for sure, but there's no doubt that the stabbing of the white girl on the train elicited a millionth of the reaction of George Floyd's murder. Yes, we heard about the stabbing. When it came to George Floyd, it was more than just hearing about it. We saw riots, arson, looting. We got memorials, statues, murals. They named a street after George Floyd, for crying out loud. Quick, what was the name of the girl stabbed in New York City? Don't look it up. How many of you honestly knew it right away? Why did one get so much more attention than the other? The reasons are complex and worthy again of intellectual inquiry.
If that was a white guy killing a black girl, the world would be upside down, correct? So many lies. But I'll never get through it if I stop and pause for every one of them. So who's the racist?
Why get so indignant? It's the same question asked by the left, except with the races reversed. In fact, I've heard both you and Rashad Richey ask this, what if he had been black, numerous times. Think about it. Everything that this teacher did in the classroom has been carried out countless times by both Sharon and Rashad. At least I'm being consistent. I do not like what this teacher is doing, and I don't like it when the race hustlers do it. I'd call it lazy intellectualism, but it's not even intellectual.
Parents are worried about their children being in the same room with this teacher. Student's mother, who asked to remain anonymous for fear her daughter will face retaliation, tells New Times she's worried about sending her 17-year-old back to the class and apprehensive of what else he's been telling impressionable teenagers.
I don't blame the mother, but how many times have we tried to tell the world that the classroom shouldn't be used as a teacher's private tool sling and have been told, well, it's the teacher's classroom and she needs academic freedom and your kids shouldn't be scared of the truth, the reals, and you're racist for even questioning our personal facts.
She's filed a complaint with the school and school district officials who say they're investigating the matter. Spokeswoman Keila Concepcion said in a written statement this: Broward County Public Schools is committed to upholding the highest standards of professionalism and ethical conduct. We take these matters seriously and will thoroughly investigate all allegations to ensure our learning environments remain safe, respectful, and inclusive for every student and family.
Excellent. Now, do that for all classrooms, especially the social science classrooms. Your district has state content standards to guide instruction. Make the teachers stick to the standards and teach the breadth of the standards, not just peg the same standard day after day that deals with current issues.
And the teacher allegedly got visibly upset. Let's tell you how this thing started. Well, the issue began the day after Kirk died, when Babis began arguing with a student about Kirk and whether he espoused racist ideas. The 17-year-old student tells New Times, noting she wasn't exactly sure who initiated the exchange. Babis became irate and began slamming his fist on his desk, kicking a closet door, the student says.
Yeah, file this under shit that probably didn't happen because a high school student said it did. Maybe the teacher did act out like that, but that seems a bit hard to believe. I'm a little skeptical.
He booted the defiant. I thought schools were a place where you could question and learn and evolve.
Not if you can help it. Your whole mantra is about stamping out critical thought. A student believes that George Floyd wasn't murdered. Let's not just disagree with him. Let's give him an F and call his parents. And we'll belittle the student on our indisputable show. That's your way, and don't deny it. I was once working with a high school principal who was discussing a recent disciplinary action. Essentially, a student turned in an essay that was, well, let's face it, a little racist. It wasn't a rant, but it was clearly biased toward the hard right side of the political spectrum. The prompt the teacher gave out was something like, explain the importance of slavery on the Civil War, or something like that. The kid got an F. It wasn't very well researched, but in my view, it was C level or perhaps D level, but no lower than that. Even worse, he was also disciplined. My response to the principal was, if the teacher didn't want that student's views on the topic, then she shouldn't have asked for them. Because once you open the door by asking for opinions, any disciplinary action such as low grades given out based on those opinions are a violation of that student's First Amendment rights. You have no right to dictate which opinions a student holds. The problem wasn't the student, it was the assignment.
Not here, I guess. He booted the defiant student from the class, telling the remaining students that, quote, ignorant black kid doesn't know what he's talking about. 17-year-old student tells New Times.
Chalk that up as another claim that I highly doubt. It just doesn't sound like something a teacher would say in a classroom. I mean, it's possible, but I wouldn't bet my money on it. And before you cry, Johnny Walker Dredd is biased, I will have you know that in one of my recent videos, I stated in no uncertain terms that those high school students going around telling the media that Carmelo Anthony was a thief should not be trusted. High school students lie. They will especially lie to the media when they see an opportunity to kick one of their teachers while he's down.
Babis then kicked the entire class out, told them to go to the teacher's room next door, she says.
Students are never allowed in the teacher's lounge. So I'm getting even more suspicious of this student's account. And why are they not allowed in the teacher's lounge? You might see a grade book laying around. Teachers may be having private conversations about students and all of a sudden the kids walk in. So no, they're not allowed inside the teacher's lounge. This makes no sense to me, but who knows?
The next day, Babis forced students to watch a Kirk memorial video and cursed at kids who were reading books and not paying attention, she says.
I can believe the teacher played a video about Kirk's memorial. That has no educational value at all and does not belong in a classroom setting. The word forced here is problematic. Anytime a teacher plays a video in class, students are forced to watch it. That's the nature of public school instruction. Cursed? That's an odd word for a student to use. What did the teacher actually say? Usually a student will tell the media the exact words if the teacher actually said them. I just get this feeling that the student is embellishing the facts. Could be wrong, but I'm not going to get fooled by the words of a high school student.
This gets you the thoughts of another parent who stated this. Kids are scared. They don't want to go back to class. I don't know why that man is still teaching. Is that what we're calling it? Teaching, indoctrinating violently, even. I mean, that's what you call it when someone's banging their fists with impressionable young minds. That's a violent indoctrination attempt, in my opinion.
No, it's not teaching. Yes, it's indoctrination. We agree. I just wish that you would call out your own when they pull the same crap. And they do it far, far more often.
We should tell you this isn't the first time that Barbies has been accused of crude and cruel remarks. 2019, 22-year-old Erica Resnick shared a post on Facebook responding to recently passed laws that have limited abortion rights in several states. Men, she wrote, should avoid opining until they themselves have the ability to bear children. And that's her opinion, right? Well, Stephen Barbies, 60, who just a few years ago taught Resnick social studies at Everglades High in Miramar, replied with an exceedingly inappropriate comment. Quote, when an irresponsible whore, I hate asking the team this, but this did not come out of the Onion, correct? This is a real accounting. Okay, I am getting the absolute nod that this is a real story. And this guy was a teacher.
You must be new to social media. That's all I can think.
How many young minds did he traumatize? When an irresponsible whore learns that a baby's life has as much value as hers, then maybe she'd use her mouth instead of her polluted vagina. Ignorant, he wrote.
Assuming that this post is genuine, then that is pretty serious. However, keep in mind, he's talking to a 22-year-old. So this is not school related. So I'm not sure you can make much of this. When he gets online, he becomes a real jerk. There's a lot of people that do that. I mean, I suppose it gives some credence to the idea that he may have acted out pretty badly in the classroom, but this is not a school issue here. And no, public school teachers do not have tenure, but I'm not sure they can fire him for posting this on a private account if he's not representing the school and the recipient is not one of his students.
The investigation from the school district should be about nanosecond, and I'm all for due process, but what more do you need here?
You need him actually doing this to a student or trying to represent the school while he's doing it. I think he's entitled to a First Amendment protection here. Sorry. And yeah, those teachers on the left get away with this crap all the freaking time. Does that bother you at all?
Can't be around young minds. Can't. But he's also declined to comment. Interestingly, though the Broward chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union has taken up the teachers' cause, Barry Butin, who says he represents Barbies on behalf of the ACLU, says use of the terms whore and polluted vagina was pure political speech because they were discussing abortion. It was not a case of obscenity or defamation. Mr. Barbies was exercising his First Amendment right when he made that comment to the woman who is not even a student. He has since taken down his Facebook and does not look at it anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing the school can do about it. It's an online battle between two adults. A silly one, but still.
He has served for 20 years with no issues. Now, this is where the ACLU, I could rock with you on principle, even though I'm going to stand by. He didn't belong around.
You stand by them by principle, but you still want him to be fired? How does that work?
Young, impressionable minds. When you say he served for 20 years with no issues, that can't be true. It's not true. And I don't have to know every single fact to know based on what we've seen here. It's not true. It's not true.
This is begging the question. We presume his guilt in the recent incident as evidence that he was guilty in the past, which is what she just did, to use as evidence that he must be guilty in the most recent incident. How do we know he's bad?
Because he acted badly in the past.
Well, how do we know that he acted badly in the past?
Well, look how he's acting now.
She also uses truth by bluster. Just say it's not true, then say it again and again. Say it enough and it becomes a fact.
Make sure everything's still copacetic. Okay, I apologize. But I'm just overwhelmed with this one.
Why? A teacher is accused of saying nasty things in the classroom, and you find that overwhelming? When did everyone become such an emotional wuss? The word overwhelmed has become a new dog whistle. Oh, I'm overwhelmed. Yeah, well, I'm not. So that makes me mentally tougher than you. I hope that you find a solution for your problem someday.
He was having a bad day. He served for 20 years with no issues. He was just having a bad day. I'm going to just ask you the question, and I need you to articulate ACLU versus what's going on in the classroom. Senator, how the hell is this guy allowed around our children?
Probably for the same reason that your own leftist cretins are allowed to Khmer Rouge their classroom captives. Whatever school conduct and disciplinary policies protect your own mindless minions probably protects him too. Don't like it? Yeah, well, I don't recall you protesting due process for teachers in the past, unless it was a conservative teacher.
Yeah, he shouldn't be sharing, and you're right. This display, he felt very comfortable making this display in front of high school students. This is not the
Assuming it's true. Oh wait, what am I saying? This is indisputable. Any claims against Whitey are gospel.
first time he's acted out. This is the first time that it has risen to this level where now his school and the district can no longer just have it under the cloak of darkness. I mean,
Yeah, because if there's one thing you know, high schoolers will always keep the rantings of their teacher secret. I mean, the idea that a high school student will go onto Facebook and talk about their teacher going berserk, I mean, that's just crazy talk. By the way, did you catch the logical fallacy?
If he's accused of doing something once, well, he must have done it before. And therefore, that just shows you how guilty he is.
They cannot avoid these bullshit arguments. This is Nina Turner, by the way. And yeah, she's a senator.
I am absolutely stunned. And to be a social studies teacher and to not understand the fundamentals of systemic racism, I mean, that alone blows my mind. That's one thing. Another thing, to have this kind of conversation that probably he should be having with adults, but you're venting like this to high school students. Man, I have two words for this teacher: seek help.
If he had gone on a long BLM rant in front of high school students, who among you think she would object?
And he should have sought help a long time ago. This is unacceptable to vent and to rant in this way. So obviously he feels this way, Sharon. And guess what? He's entitled to his feelings. He's not entitled to his own set of facts.
The idea that each person has their own set of facts seems to be a BLM mantra.
Whether true or not, I want it to be true. And since I'm entitled to my own truth, then you have no right to correct my claims.
And he's also not entitled to pour all of this onto high school students. This is irresponsible. He should be suspended, maybe even fired, but even let's say we want to give him some grace. Let me educate this man. First of all, he needs to go back and take some history classes and social studies classes so he can understand the genesis of what anti-Black racism is.
In other words, the ranting wasn't really the problem. The real problem was that he spouted the wrong opinions.
By definition, Black people in the United States of America who are descendants of enslaved people cannot be racist.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely cannot.
And you were the only one to make an idiotic statement like that. Why, Ralph? Why?
Because I was the only one brave enough to make that idiotic statement. That's why.
And there it is, by definition. Now, whose definition is that? Now do you see it? A leftist can get in front of her high school class and denounce Whitey all day long. She can claim that white people are the source of all evil, that white people are naturally stupid, and whatever insult she wants to throw out. And that's okay because she can't be racist. So she is allowed to make those comments, and the students just have to take it. It's all about academic freedom. But if a white teacher says something she finds offensive, it's racist, and off to the superintendent he goes. Academic freedom? Well, now let's not get carried away here. He said racist things. And you wonder why our public education system has been overtaken by the left, because they rig it to where they get carte blanche power to do whatever they want. By definition, their views are always correct. Did you catch the truth by bluster trick? Absolutely cannot. Got to get better at spotting these things.
And until such time Black people enslave, and I'm not advocating for this, I'm just putting this fact out here. When Black people can control, let me put it another way, Sharon. When Black people control all the levers of society, political, social, economic, and environmental, and other factors I haven't named, then come back and see me. And this is not about having one Black president. This is not about some Black people having some power. We're talking about collective and systemic power to control the levers of society.
Well, let's see. Chicago has a Black mayor. It has a Black police chief. In fact, here are the 9 top officials in Chicago's government. I don't see any American Indians in there. I guess American Indians living in Chicago can call any of the Black people in this photo the N-word if they want, and it won't be racism, right? The idea that Black people cannot be racist is just a contrived tool to allow certain Black people the freedom to be as racist as they want to be. A Black waitress spits in the food of a white couple because she hates white people, but she's not racist. A Black cop follows a white person around, then pulls him over without probable cause because he hates white people, but he's not racist. And you really think that this power is an anomaly? Go check out the leadership of Atlanta, Los Angeles, St. Louis, Detroit. In fact, when it comes to the major population centers of the U.S., Black people probably control more power than whites. They certainly control more power than American Indians, who have been treated worse than anyone. I can only stand so much of Nina Turner before my brain starts to shut down, so I'll call it a day. But she goes on her racist rantings for another 5 minutes. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.